Please don't like him. He don't wife him. He one nights him. Welcome to What We Watch. Follow What We Watch Film TV. Follow Tremonalicious. Hi, T. Mitch. Welcome, welcome. We have the beautiful Tremonalicious in the building.
Welcome, welcome.
Thank you for joining What We Watch. How are you doing today?
I am great. I'm so happy it's Friday, honestly. It couldn't have come sooner, but it also came really quickly. I don't know if you feel the same way.
What was your Friday like today? What you been doing before?
My Friday consisted of waking up early to throw laundry in before calls because that's just the life that we live these days. And then just meeting after meeting, a bit of work, and then just easing into this, honestly. Clearly, I've been doing my laundry throughout all of this, but a day of meetings, a day of work, but a productive one at that. How about you?
Why does laundry take 5 business days? It always feels like laundry is like a whole thing. It's a whole chore. Is it one of the worst chores?
It's honestly, yeah, it might add, no. I think mopping is the worst one.
Floor cleaning, yes.
Because I never feel like they're clean enough, and I don't know how to get around that.
Well, they're never clean enough because, I feel like right after you clean them, you walk and you make them dirty again. Like, are they always? Do you have any pets?
I do not have pets. If I had a pet, I would never leave the house. I would be cuddled up with my little whatever.
Welcome, Charlene Chanel. So, Tremana, you and I met at a wonderful dinner. Kyle is here on Twitter as well. He was very supportive. And that was a good time, right? We had a beautiful dinner and we connected with a lot of people. And it was very exciting. We clicked like almost immediately. We caught a tail end of the event. How was that for you?
It was amazing. First, I want to welcome Shard because this is one of my besties. She's incredible. I suggest you do one of these What We Watches with her because she is the epitome of just everything. Like, if you had the definition for everything, it would be like Chardonnay. So we can make that happen later. But yeah, I think the event was just incredible. Like, the energy in the room was wonderful. I think how we met was just one of those, like, absolutely yes, like, hey. I feel like we kind of like turned to each other. It was one of those moments, and Kyle happened to be like, hey, you guys should know each other.
Yeah.
It was like, boom, yeah, we should. And wait, we kind of maybe already do a little bit from Twitter, so like, let's lean in.
Let's lean into it. Right. So this is nothing new, although I'm excited for everyone to get to learn about you and I want to learn more. So we're gonna start off. We're gonna talk for about an hour, and then those of you in the audience can speak for the last like 15 minutes, and it'll be a good time. So follow What We Watch, tweet out What We Watch, and with hashtag What We Watch, and anything that you like from Tremana, we'll get into it. So Tremana Diamond White. What a beautiful name. I think you were destined to be in the entertainment industry.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. I feel that way too.
You weren't always in the entertainment industry, were you? You weren't always an actor, producer, you know, the many, many hats that you wear effortlessly, or maybe not effortlessly, that's presumptuous. But where did you come from? What was your origin story?
So I am from Boston, Massachusetts. If we want to get real specific for those that are also from Boston, I rep my city so hard because it is so hard for us to get out of that damn town, and I love it so much because it gives us such grit. But I'm from JP Roxbury, specifically Heath Street, and then the South End. And I come from a family of artists. So my whole dad's side, for the most part, they're writers. They draw, they sing, they dance. They're just like full on artists. And growing up, my mother also danced as well. I was always in dance programs outside of like science camps and all those things. And I always knew that I wanted to be in entertainment. I just didn't know how to necessarily get there. And I think my father had kind of like a difficult experience with the entertainment industry, being that he came up in the 70s. He was on the Chitlin circuit. He did all of that. So he was a little bit wary about it. So they really leaned in into academia for me. And they allowed me to still practice my arts. So I did theater, I did dance, I did song, I was in choir, I did all that stuff. But they were like, let's focus on, a long-term job. Then you can always do that stuff on the side. And
All
so
parents say, right?
And I get it. For Black people, we got to move a little bit differently. You can't
We
just be an
do.
artist fresh out the womb. You gotta
Right.
build a little bit. And I think in terms of like building wealth, I come from the projects, so it's a different type of build. And so I was always good at math and science. So I went to college. I majored in economics. I graduated. I started working at Harvard Business School. Um, and I remember being there and being so bored. I wasn't at the business school. People always get that twisted. They're like, oh shit, you went there? No, I did not apply. I did not get in. I didn't even attempt that because I didn't know what I wanted to do per se, because I knew that I wanted to be an entertainer and I just didn't know how to make that work and then also tell my family about it. So I want to say about 2 years into my time there, I decided to leave HBS to go on a reality show that was like out here in LA. And I got on the show very easily. It was like a couple interviews. They flew us out there. And I was like, well, shit, if it's this easy to get on TV, what if I actually took it seriously? So I finished that show, came back to Boston, did about 6 more months in the city, and then decided I was going to leave and then moved to LA at 24.
Wow. Okay, so 24. You've been in LA since you were 24 years old.
Yep, I'm gonna age myself right now. It'll be 8 years in June.
Oh, nice. Very nice. Okay, so it's funny. My 1 year is going to be in July, so right around that time. Summer is the time to move to LA, right?
Summer is a great time to move to LA. I mean, it stinks because you leave your city around a really fun time of year after like dealing
Yeah.
with those winters. But I still love coming in the summer because there's so much to do and it's a really just like jam packed way to enter the city of Los Angeles. So I love that for you. Congrats, because the first year is the hardest.
The first year is the hardest, is what they tell me, and I'm feeling it. I'm feeling it. Um, Talk to me a little bit about the reality show that you were in. What reality TV show were you in? And you were like, let's take it more seriously and let's go a little deeper. So what happened there?
Okay, so you can't look it up, but it is called Capture. It was basically where Survivor meets the Hunger Games. It's like a big ass game of tag in the woods, and you can't stand still for longer than 90 seconds. So imagine you haven't been fed all day. It's hot as fuck. You're in fucking yoga clothes. But they also put us in bell bottoms. That pissed me off because if you've ever been camping, you know that like the trees like to grab back. So I'm running around in fucking bell bottoms. And it was just really, really intense. Like it literally was like Survivor. And you're playing tag, so like if someone tags you, you end up like in this quote unquote jail, more or less. You're there held overnight, then people vote you off. It's like a game of politics, a game of ability, because you do have to be like fast, strong, and able to eat nothing for days on end. But I did it. I didn't last very long on the show because I got my period.
This is wait. So you were essentially on Survivor Light,
Yep.
and you
Yep.
had
Oh, I love that. Survivor Light. That's it.
Survivor Light. I had no idea this show even existed. Hi Rito, welcome to What We Watch.
What's up, Rito?
Oh, you know Rito too perfect. We in
I
the
do. He's from
village.
Boston. Well, he's
Oh,
from Cambridge, but
okay. Already. Got it, got it, got it. Appreciate you being in here. So I'm hearing this reality TV show. First of all, you flexed on us just now. You have to be fast, strong, and unable to eat for many days. That was a flex.
I didn't say I was good at all those parts. The eating one was the biggest challenge for me because we also had to share our food with our partner because you go on the show with a partner. And mine happened to be a friend of mine who was like a football player with football build. So when we're sharing our porridge every morning, I'm getting 2 spoons. He was getting probably like 8, and that's just how it went. So it
Oh,
was very, very hard. And like, I'm a hangry person. I don't know anybody who doesn't get hangry, honestly, at this point. Like, we're all
right,
big ass babies. So they would try to do these, interviews in the beginning. Like, so how are you feeling? Like, if you don't fucking feed me, that's how I'm feeling.
right. And so I want to ask you, did you have a good time?
I had a lot of fun because I really challenged myself. Like, I do like camping, but I also don't like camping. I'm not trying to like they weren't even giving us water. So I was sucking water off of like pine needles in the middle of the woods. I'm not that girl,
I
but
would,
I became that girl for this show, and I
I
was
would.
really proud of myself.
So you from Boston, you moved to LA when you were 24, and you were wearing bell bottoms in the woods,
Yep.
drinking water off of pine cones. I'm just trying to make sure I got this clear. And you said, you know what? I can do this for real though, and I can run this, and I can produce my own shows, and I can create my own digital content. Is that how we got here?
That's kind of how we got here. I was just like, you know what, this the entertainment industry needs me and I need them. Like I'm a creator and I just feel like if I'm not creating, I'm not doing what I'm supposed to do. And that's why working at Harvard Business School didn't quite fit the void. It was like I had gone on this show, I came back, I had vacation time, I had so many like comforts coming back and I was like, I'm not saying I don't like comfort because I really fucking do, especially if you see me now. Like I'm always comfortable, but at the time I was like, I want something that's going to stretch me, that's going to like push me forward and really challenge me. And so being an artist and an entertainer felt like that. And so I just said, let's go, let's do it. How can I shake and move and be a little bit loud in a new city?
So you are just an, I know this is really for everybody else, but honestly, I'm happy that you're here because you're speaking to me right now. You're giving me today. It's been hard. You know, I'm in my first year in LA. It's beautiful. It's perfect, but it's hard. I love the way you said it when we were speaking earlier, and you were like, it's an uphill battle in the best and the worst ways. So
Mm-hmm.
talk a little bit more about your economics. You see, you were an economics major. I mean, at this point, there's nothing that you haven't done. We're 15 minutes in, and you have already done more than a lot of people that I've ever met in my life. So, did you get your degree or did you like make that jump and you were like, actually, I know exactly what I don't want to do, and it's this?
I actually finished my degree, so I was fully in the economics program. I even took econometrics. Don't ask me about it now; it's very traumatic, but I did it, and I was, I think, the only Black woman to graduate in the department that year, and it was kind of a
And what
lackluster.
school was this?
This is at Connecticut College.
Got it, got it.
Yeah. And I would say it's a little bit of a lackluster experience because I don't think that my alma mater actually like appreciated those of us that were kind of like, I don't want to say that I was groundbreaking in my department because there were many Black women who had graduated before me, but it's a really hard subject to study
Mm,
considering all the things that you learn about society through that course. Like I learned about debt and the banking industry and how it literally fucks over poor people. And being the one poor person in the class, I took it personally. So,
right.
it was one of those things that I had to really fight my way through. And I'll be honest as well, the international students really helped me survive. Like if I had a struggle, if I was struggling with something, they tutored me. Um, I don't know if Siddharth will ever hear this, but he helped me get through econometrics. So I think I really found like a small community in that space, and I was able to nurture my economics degree in a space where I knew it wasn't going to like propel me forward because I didn't want to work in finance because I thought it was a scam, and I'm gonna say that it still is to this day.
Mm,
But it made me more of an activist, and I know that I still call myself an activist to this day. But after college, I just went back to my community and was like, okay, we need to figure out ways to like help pedestal us in a way that we can do more because what they're doing back at these universities is fucked up, and
mm.
we all need to know about it. And we like, I hope that I can help move the needle on creating more for my community.
I love that. And let's sit with that, right? Because first of all, Black History Month just ended, but for me, it's not Black History Month. We're gonna keep celebrating Black people in the industry to the death of us and after that. And,
Yep.
it's Women's History Month. That's why I have you up here, Tremana Diamond White. So I love that you are highlighting kind of the obstacles. And I'm gonna let's talk about the obstacles being a Black person, first of all, right? And then
Mm-hmm.
being a Black woman, especially a young Black woman too, because it seems like you entered the industry at a young age too. And you talked about one of the major things about thick skin. And if you could share with the audience what's kind of been helping you kind of manage and overcome these obstacles in the industry and clearly fully succeed in all of it.
Yeah. So I think just in terms of being a Black woman in general, I think there's so many things you don't even realize that you have to deal with at a very young age. So you're kind of already moving through it, like from the moment you kind of touch the floor. And then I think through life, you kind of navigate how people perceive you. And, you know, luckily for me, I have a hilarious family of roasters. Like everybody, I will call an uncle and he'll roast me for the first 5 minutes before he even says, hello, how are you? And I think that just created this tough skin that I was able to just kind of navigate with for a while. Because when I was a child, I was very, very quiet, very, very sensitive. And they just kind of forced me to be like, no, I don't like that. This doesn't work for me. That's hilarious. Heard you, but it doesn't resonate. And just kind of having that like sassiness, quickness. I think it's also a city thing. But I think over the years, when I hit middle school is really where things took off for me and understanding who I was as a Black woman. I had a Black history teacher at this small charter school in Boston named Miss Santil, and she taught us Black history for 3 solid years. And it wasn't just slavery; it just wasn't like Native American heritage. It was like this is not who you are, but this is the history, and this is what you also come from in various ways. And so, what I want you to know is who you are, what you're capable of, what they've done to us, but that this doesn't define you. So, what can we do from here? And that propelled me forward in ways that I could never even like. Even me putting words to it right now, I don't feel like I've even said it enough because I went off to a private white high school, and you couldn't tell me shit about myself. Like I went in there, I was like, I'm brilliant, I got this. I'm not taking AP US history because it's racist, and that just really helped give me like that really solid foundation. So even when I went off to my PWI of Connecticut College, I was like, okay, cool. Y'all think you're hot shit. I'm not saying that I am, but what you're not going to do is disrespect my culture and my Black womanhood. And I'm going to try to create a community for us to share our culture and be together and be supportive of one another in this space that doesn't necessarily nurture us. And I think even coming now into entertainment, there is so much community here, and it took me a while to figure it out. But I think there are so many folks that are really pushing the needle and trying to have our stories told. And I feel really grateful to know so many women that are doing that. So I think it's one of those things of like, you learn at an early age who you are, then you're trying to sort it out. Someone gives you the tools to really kind of lean into it and flourish. And I'm not saying that Miss Santiago was the only woman, but the historical context helped quite a bit. And then from there, you just kind of run with it. And I've just been really grateful to have those wings.
That was fucking beautiful. That's what we watched. That's all we need to hear. Honestly, that's it. You're done. No. Um, I mean, what an inspiration. I mean, I guess for me personally, you were talking about going to an all white high school, then a PWI, and like, yeah, very, very much so my experience. I grew up in frickin' Plano, Texas, went to high school and middle school in Plano, Texas, you know, the richest suburb, the richest city in the world or in the country for a while. Very white,
Wow.
obviously, very white. And I did not have those tools and that confidence at that time, Tremana. So I think it's beautiful that you grew up, you know, around the family and friends that you were speaking of that kind of prepared you, right? Like you said, at an early age, you kind of figuring out who you are, and then you're given the tools of what to do with that and how to be confident and move forward in it, you know. And it is
Mm-hmm.
tough love, some of that roasting, but it's also some of that, like, I know who the fuck I am and you're not finna check me on it. You know, you said AP US history. Part of that, part of me taking A push is why I got into UT Austin with my PWI. So, but I wish I would have like just been so aware like that. So it's very, very powerful that a Black woman from Boston. Everybody I know from Boston is white, first of all. So
You're not alone in that. Whenever I meet people who are like, "Oh yeah, I love Boston," they're usually white folks
yeah,
who only know white folks in Boston. But one of my goals for being in entertainment is to tell stories about Black people in Boston because we're there. I mean, Malcolm X lived there, Martin Luther King lived there, Rosa Parks spent time there. And I'm not only giving these like figureheads, but there are so many stories. We're very Caribbean, we're very African, we're very native. Like, there are just so many roots there. I mean, it being one of the first 13 colonies, like, I just feel like the disservice done to Black Bostonians is too deep for me to let it continue at my big age. So I really would love to like continue to tell these stories and to inspire people to like even go and visit Boston. It may not be the best experience the first time, but it will be maybe the second and the third. So
and I that's why I'm so glad that you're here, and this is why I do what we watch. We need to pay attention to the stories that are told, you know, first of all across America, but
mhm.
across the world, right? I mean, I'm here in LA because of the story that a South Korean man put on screen, and I'm like, I'm gonna tell my Black Panamanian story growing up in Texas, you know, and I'm gonna share that.
Yes.
So it's so powerful that you're like, yeah, like Black Bostonians. I don't know that I've ever heard anyone say that before, Tremana. It is very important what you're doing, and I think you need to continue. And I hope that more Black people from Boston follow in your footsteps and want to work with you and really tell those stories, because you're right, it is very much whiteness that's, associated with Boston.
Mm-hmm.
And that's typical history, right? I mean, I had Callie Green on the episode last or earlier this week, and we talked about Summer of Soul, which is, are you familiar with Summer of Soul?
I'm not, but I am familiar with Cali, so that's
Okay,
beautiful.
perfect. Summer of Soul is a film directorial debut for Questlove, and it's about the Harlem Cultural Film Festival, which happened for 6 weeks at the same time that Woodstock occurred.
Wow.
Everyone knows about Woodstock, right?
Yep. Yep.
Everyone knows what Woodstock is. At the same exact time across the country, Black people, and when you watch this, I encourage everyone to watch this. When you watch it, there are names that you absolutely know. Everybody that you'll know everybody that was in at this film cultural festival. I'm sorry, music festival in Harlem, and it lasted for 6 weeks, and no one talked about it for 60 years. No one. The archive,
Absolutely insane.
it's absolutely insane. So it's not just whitewashing of, our history, but complete erasure of Black people and what we've done over the last few years. And so I think that's why I value, and that's why I created What We Watch. I value so much the stories that Black people, especially Black women like yourself, bring to the table, right? Like, this is unique. This is exclusive shit we're talking about here, you know?
Yeah.
So, um, you developed thick skin, right? And you talked a lot about that, and I think that's very important. Shit, I need that fucking advice my damn self. I need some more thicker skin as I move through the industry here in this first year. But talk about art. You mentioned something to me while we were talking earlier, and you talked about being an artist and being critiqued as an artist. And that's one of my favorite things to talk about, is, and because I feel like it doesn't isolate, but it kind of highlights who we are when I use the terms artist and creative. And you use the term artist on your page too. So talk about your art and what it means to be an artist and how we handle critique.
Yeah, so for me, art has always been an outlet, and I've come into like I didn't know that I could draw until I randomly took an art class in high school. I was like, okay, I've done every other art except for drawing. Like, let me try this out, and then I happened to be really fucking good at it, and I was like, damn, okay, this is a nice new thing for me to try. And I feel like for artists, we've really kind of like for some of us, it's something that you really nurture. It is like a pure reflection of who you are. Sometimes we create art for other people as well. That happens. But I think we hold it so near and dear to our heart, and that's fine. And it doesn't always have to be deep. That's another part to this that I've been trying to lean into as well. Like, I'm super tatted up. This tat, but it means something to me, and I don't have to tell you about it. It could be I just want to get a tattoo on a Tuesday, and I got that shit. So here we are. So I feel like with art, it's the same thing. It doesn't have to be this whole like, you know, perspective on society, but what it can be is an expression of myself. And I think when critique comes into it, often get really, really stressed out by the fact that someone has to see it. But I think the beautiful thing about art is that you're able to share it and people will receive it regardless of what that critique might look like. And that critique might be great, it might be bad, it just is. And I think at this point, you really can't even take it as like an end all be all for who you are or what you created. It is just is. That is one person's opinion on a piece that you created. And cool, they have that. You heard that. You can receive it, you may not receive it, but at least it exists and someone took the time to even analyze it. So I think critiquing for me at this point is just a matter of someone considering you and considering your art, as harsh as it may be. And I think sometimes people have to reel it in because it's like you're doing the most by commenting in that way, but just like really appreciating the art and understanding that it's beyond what you created, but it's also especially what you created. So it's this very like polarized experience around art. And I think if you're going to create art, you have to like, and you're going to also share it, because the other side of that is artists who create things that they don't share. We hold on to things very closely because we're like, oh my God, I don't know, but it can be really inspirational. And in
Come on.
developing thick skin too, it's like life is so hard. And for me, I've been dealt some like really difficult cards. So I'm just not going to like, stand by and wait for good to happen, especially when it comes to my art, knowing that I can really make great art. So I'm just going to create what I know and just touch the shit, like really just make it my own. regardless of the critique. So I think we need to be more bold about it as artists because we really make the world go round and we need each other.
That's that's absolutely amazing. Are you just gonna answer every question perfectly and beautifully and inspire me like this? I'm over here taking notes, girl. I'm like, this is our space, and I'm over here taking notes.
Oh, I'm so glad because I'm also talking to myself too. I'm like, do you need to hear this today? Because it's coming out of your
Yeah,
mouth, sis.
yeah. And it's so funny you say that. I had Thug Yoda from Insecure on what we watch, and he said that he ended the space and he texted. He was like, "I didn't realize all the work that I have done, and speaking to you about it motivated me, renewed me, and reminded me who the fuck I was and what I can do. So thank you for that." So I'm glad that you're listening to yourself talk too, and you're like, "Damn, like I'm really that girl, and I am going to be bold in sharing my art." Um, you talked a little bit about tattoos, and I want to ask the room because I love what you fucking said, right? Because everyone thinks there has to be some deep meaning under it. And I guess for me personally, as an artist, there always is a deeper meaning. But the part that you said when you said, I don't have to tell you, that really hit home for me. So, those of you in the audience, first of all, clap if you have a tattoo, okay? Any tattoo, one tattoo. If you click bottom right of this spaces, there's a heart and a plus sign. Clap if you have a tattoo, any tattoo. So, I'm going to clap because I have a tattoo. And then
I'm going to clap because I clearly have many.
yes, yes. And then heart emoji, and it's interesting. If you press down on the heart, you can like choose what color heart you want. I don't know what every heart color means. Okay, so now we see people clapping. Tremana, you see people clapping. Okay,
Yep.
now send any color heart if you've had someone ask you what this means to you, and you were kind of like, it's just, I just wanted it. I
Yeah.
just felt it in the moment, Tremana, you could expound upon. Sometimes, like, I only have one tattoo. I've only been under the needle one time in that way. And honestly, it was because I was 18 and it was because my mom didn't want me to get a tattoo. And I got a tattoo on her birthday. There's no,
Ooh.
there's no, and then I went and we were in Walmart and I wanted to do it in public so she couldn't go crazy on me.
Not
And I was
Walmart.
we were in Walmart, girl. She was buying my favorite ice cream and everything. And I said, Mom, I got to tell you something. I got to show you something. You can't yell at me. We're in Walmart. Don't act crazy. We're in the neighborhood Walmart, little fancy suburban Walmarts. All of it's trash. But this was years ago. And I pulled up my shirt and showed her my tattoos. And she was like, and then she was like, okay, you made this decision. You're out of my house. You're doing your own thing, but why, right? And you know what, that's probably the first moment where my mom realized that like my ass is going to be a rebellious creative, and that's just the path that I'm on.
But can we take a beat for the fact that they give us so much grief leading up to it, and then when it's the dramatic reveal, they're like, "I knew
Okay.
this was coming." It's like, well, sis, if you knew it was coming, why didn't you just embrace me? Like, god damn, you had me sweating in the chair for no reason.
Right. You know what I mean? Quick story, because I mean, this is about you, but quick story. I was in the tattoo chair with my boyfriend at the time. My ex was very problematic. He found out that I was getting a tattoo, shows up outside of the tattoo shop, staring at me get this tattoo as well, trying to like threaten my boyfriend. Might be too much information. However, I say
I
that to
kind
say
of want to respond in gifts, but here we are.
you're correct. I was sweating for numerous reasons in that chair, but I was good. So, anyways, like I said, send a heart emoji if anybody has ever asked you about what your tattoo meant, and you were kind of just like, it's just a tattoo that I like. What tattoo was not that meaningful or deep to you, Tremana, that you have? Where is it, and what was the story behind it? If it's not that deep.
I think my most recent one, like I just took my sleeve all the way down to my wrist pretty much. And it's this beautiful ass fucking snake with like flowers in their skin. And it just felt right. I put a lot of thought into, I have Medusa on my top of my arm, not to be related to the Drake song. It came before that.
Bloop.
How I came together for the Medusa piece, it was this very deep thing about a tribute to womanhood and feminism and just the fact that like humanity rapes women of all the things that they are, and Mother Nature at that. Like, we love a waterfall, but what do? We pollute it, and then we let humans just run amok up in it. So I wanted to have a piece that really just like a testament to my experience and the experience of many women that I know. And that felt really deep. And then I didn't get snakes with that because at the time snakes didn't resonate with me. So I got a lot of plants and vines, and I'm a plant mama. I have 55 of my babies. And here I am at, this time in my life. I was just like, wow, I really want to take my sleeve down, and how do I want to do it? And I just saw an artist on Twitter, actually. I'm forgetting her name at the top of my head right now, but she's really fucking dope. I'll tweet it after
Oh,
this.
please, yes, please. Hashtag what we watched. So we can all
Oh
follow
my gosh,
her.
yes. And her artwork is incredible and beautiful. She does dragons and snakes. And I
Mm,
saw this snake and I was like, that's my snake, and I'm going to get that. And it means nothing more than the fact that I fucking like it, and that's okay. So I
and
got that. And here we are.
that's all you need, right? Do you have any black Bostonian tattoos? Do you have any like "this is because I'm from Boston"
Yo,
tattoos?
that's hilarious because I talk a lot about it with my cousins. Like, a lot of them have the Boston B from baseball, from the Red
Mm,
Sox team. Um, I
it,
don't know, sports don't really do it for me. So I gotta find my Bostonian thing, and I just haven't yet. But I'm gonna get there. Maybe Rito, you can help me after this. We can game plan what it should be, or maybe Shard, you might know. I don't know.
a Boston tattoo game plan. I love.
Yes, it might be the sit go sign, but like, I don't know. That doesn't really resonate
Okay,
with me. I gotta figure it out. I gotta figure it
Yeah,
out.
I mean, you rep in Boston. You got mad tattoos. I feel like these should be married at some point, right?
They
Like
really should. You're right. Hold me to it. Hold
I
me to
will.
it.
So we're talking a lot. I mean, you are an actress. You have this, and I put it at the top, you guys. Her beautiful web page. She designed that. So you're an actress. You design. You're a producer. You have a title for your career, your job right now that I want you to share with us. You put on Instagram, and I thought it was very, very interesting, and it made me even more excited about this space. You said a lot of you ask about my life, and y'all are very intrigued by what the fuck I got going on, right? Like, you're essentially like, okay, here's an opportunity for every time y'all see me flexing on Instagram. How did I get here? How am I doing? What is the work that I'm not posting about? So can you talk to us a little bit about what your job is right now, and what a day in the life of Tremana Diamond White, who, with a name like that, was already destined to be famous and rich and fabulous and inspirational as you are. So,
Ooh,
talk
you're
to us
putting a
about
lot of
that.
things on me that I haven't reached yet, but I appreciate that. And I see you, sis. So thank you for manifesting that in this moment.
It's the hashtag manifestation, honey.
Okay. Okay. During Women's History Month, I'd love to see it. So at this point in my career, I am the director of digital content at OWN Network. That is the Miss Winfrey Network. I also forgot to tell you that I also work in the cannabis space. I do marketing as well there. And then I'm also an actress full time. So I'm always like in the juggling space. And I find that at this point in my life, I work very remotely because it just accommodates the lifestyle that I want. I knew that I wanted to live in California at a very young age. And I brought myself out here. And before I even moved here, like, I was the type of girl who, at 18, between my shifts at the pizza shop, I was finding a rooftop pool to go lounge at, like, on a random Wednesday. So now that I'm a working woman and I work remotely, I will go and work from somebody's pool in Los Angeles on a random Wednesday. And it really fulfills me. So, in terms of like how I got here and how I sustain here, I'm very much an artist. I know we spent a lot of time talking about that, but I also, with my economics background, I really care about strategy. I really care about audience. I really care about impact. And I really care about kind of like brand voice, but in terms of the audience. So like, what are we doing to like shift the culture? What are we doing to like really push the needle forward? And my time in marketing has really afforded me that. Like, I really like doing cool shit. I like being really innovative. I really like taking chances, and I like to work alongside people who are willing to take those. And in my time as an actress, I've been on a number of projects that I don't want to say that they don't or do push the needle, but they make impact, and that they're really just like pushing the space to move forward. They're like, okay, I'm here. This is this project. We're doing this. In terms of working at OWN, we have a number of shows that I'm working on that I'm just like, okay, so what are we going to do on digital? How are we going to make it pop? How are we going to make it fun? How are we going to speak in that voice that really, really is the people? I mean, we always talk about social media managers at times, and I don't necessarily do social media management, but I'm talking in terms of the reference point of like, who is behind the Domino's account? Like, are they really tapped into the culture? Is it some, Blanca who's sitting down, who's just like, I think that they use this for AAVE, and I feel like this is going to resonate. Like, no, they're actually like Black women and Black people in digital marketing who are really trying to help push the culture forward. And so for me, that's been my biggest goal, whether it's producing, whether it's acting, whether it's working, in corporate and entertainment, is really just trying to push that needle forward and make sure that we always consider the viewer, because we are the culture and we want to continue to push it forward.
And you're right, right? Because like that's beautiful statistically, or I don't know if it's statistically, but let me be clear. The Black people buying your product, your business, your service is like pivotal, right? Like when you're talking about the Domino's person behind the account, or the person behind the Domino's account, and how they are trying to talk to us through AAVE, it helps that you have someone that understands the culture and the impact that we have when we support a business, right? And so I think it's beautiful that you are trying to highlight and emphasize that part of it. Does that sound about right? Like,
Yeah, definitely. And I will say too, it wasn't an easy road to get there. When I graduated with my economics degree, they told me that I could not work in marketing. Kid you not. They were
eh,
like, "You better go get a job at a bank. You want to? Where do you want to work? You want to work at? You could work you EY. You want to work at? I mean, McKinsey's not necessarily like a banker in the financial space, but like you could work anywhere. But I'm like, that's not where I want to work. I want to do marketing. Like took economics so I could understand capitalism, but now I want to impact capitalism in a cultural way. And they were like, yeah, nah. So my journey in LA when I moved here was very, very tumultuous because I had fucking like 16 jobs. And then finally someone took a chance on me and gave me the opportunity to really have conversation and share my thoughts, share the fact that I am smart and I've done research. And it's been a beautiful journey towards that, to the opportunity for me to even collaborate with my friends and put other people on. So it's one of those journeys of having to like fight for your presence, but also already knowing that it exists and that it's there and it's just waiting for me to meet it.
every time I have Black artists and creative in this space, they say kind of what you said, it's an uphill battle of like people believing in you and advocating for you and giving you a fucking chance to share your artistry and your intelligence and your experience. It's like, who's going to listen to me and like give me some damn respect that I know what the fuck I'm doing out here, right? And
Mm-hmm.
you mentioned that you worked like 15 jobs. So you moved to LA, you were like, I'm out of Boston, finally out of there. You have the background and the support from your parents, and they were artists, instruments, fine arts, all of that. And so you had that kind of background, and that instilled in you, in your blood, and in everything that you were doing. You went and got your economics degree, and you were like, how can I translate that into what I'm doing now? So what were some of the obstacles? Because you talked to me about having 15 jobs, and then how did you go from 15 jobs to what you're doing now, which it sounds like you still have 15 jobs that you're killing. Sounds like you still have 15 jobs, girl, but it's 15 jobs that you want. You're not working for someone else. You're doing what you want to do. You're very much in control. Like you said, you're bringing people in. Talk to me a little bit about, well, talk to them because you told me a little bit about it, but about like losing one of the jobs, and what you learned in those silent moments, right?
Yeah, for sure. So when I first moved to Los Angeles, I was a yoga instructor and I worked at an investment firm in Santa Monica. And I remember this, oh my gosh, this executive. She was cool. She was all right. We had really great banner, but she pulled me into her office one day and she was like, "You want to be like Kim K?" She was like, "Do you know how much money you could make if you just chose to do what I do?" And I said, "If you think that my goal is her, then you got me fucked up." And I literally was like, I'm done with this job. And I had been there for maybe like 5 months, and they were really like pressuring me to leave, to stay with them and to leave my dreams of entertainment behind. And I just was like, at that point, like, that this is just not the opportunity for me, because you guys don't even see me. You don't even see the goal. You don't get it. And so from there, I worked at a couple nonprofits. I ended up working in solar at one point in my life. I
Ooh.
nannied for a very long time. I'm like a true mama. I don't have any kids, but I've raised, I want to say maybe like 15 kids at this point. Um, And I stopped doing that because I was like, shit, I'll never have my own if I keep raising everybody else's babies. And then I got into the digital marketing space in a more like a formal way. I started with a digital marketing agency after doing a bunch of freelance work, and that really kind of like paved the way for me. Because I think the tough part about being in a place like Los Angeles is everybody wants to look like they're doing something, and it's not really clear if they ever are or what it might be, but there are the pocket watchers. There are the folks that are trying to like pin you to something so that they can figure out how they can use you or potentially be next to you. I don't really know. I don't really care. I've also been here a long time, so it's a little bit different. But I think in all my experiences, everyone has such a clear perspective on what they think you should be doing. And I think as long as you know what your spirit is calling you to do, you're
Mm.
going to be all right, because then you can navigate that space. You can be like, that's not about me. Like I had a coworker at the solar firm who was like, "You want to be on TV?" And he laughed in my face and he was like, "I'd like to see it," and walks away. I was on TV the next year. I think actually it wasn't even a year. It was 6 months later. I was on a commercial. So it's really not that hard if you put your mind to it. And you know that's what your spirit is calling you for. But don't let people's shit. That's just how they view their lives.
So I love that you said that, right? And what resonated with me in your comment, and audience, you let me know, but you were like, that's not really my business. That really ain't got nothing to do with me. And I think that speaks to what you were saying earlier about having thick skin. Like, there's critique of your art, and you said that it's supposed that that's what happens when you share your art. The critique comes, but that just is one person's perspective. And so when you find who you are, what other people really kind of have to say about it is really kind of really none of your business, unless it matches with who you want to be and who you want to be perceived at and where you come from and where you want to go, right? And then it's like, okay, you see me, that's
Mm-hmm.
nice.
Mm-hmm.
So you you were fired at one of your jobs, right?
Oh yes,
And
I skipped that part. It was
you
actually the solar company with the
I
hater
feel like
about the commercial.
you was spitting there. Yeah, you was spitting there. So I want you want to let you finish that. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So I got fired because this woman just did not like me. And it was this French woman. She would always come over to me and she would play in my hair. And I'd be like, "You cannot touch me." So we had a lot of friction just over like regular, normal, like, this is actually illegal for you to be touching me in this way. And they were having me do things that like they should have hired a lawyer for. Like, I don't have a law degree and I'm not going to pretend like I have one. I'm not one of those people who will talk about something they don't know. That's like a recipe for disaster. So they had me doing things that I didn't need to be doing, and I flagged it, and she took issue with it, and she didn't like my curly hair, so she got rid of me. And it was really difficult. We were chatting earlier about one of the times out here where I had been. I think this was when I had been fired, and I was laying in my little apartment in Koreatown. I feel like so many people start off in Koreatown. What a city, or neighborhood, I should say.
I'm
And I
I'm
had my
I'm 2 blocks over. So yeah, go ahead and
so you get it, right? You're 8 months in. You're in Koreatown. It's where we go.
2 blocks.
And at the time, I had moved here. I was like, all I need is a bed because I'm big on my rest, sleepy girl always. And I needed some place to store my clothes. So I had a dresser, and then I had a mirror because I wanted to see what my fits look like before I step out the house. It's all I had. No paintings on the wall, just me, my bed, and I didn't even have a fan on the ceiling, and it was hot as shit. It was the middle of the fucking summer. I remember laying on my bed and starfish, just kind of like hoping that a breeze catches me somewhere. And I was so upset. Just like, I've never been fired from anything. I'm an overachiever. I wouldn't say a straight A student, but I'm like one of those high GPA girls. And I just could not stomach the fact that I got fired, that I moved out to LA and I'm failing. It was just so sad. And I was just sobbing my little eyes out. And then I had a moment of like, you worked really hard to get here. Have you thought about that at all? Like, you brought yourself from Boston to Los Angeles within 6 months. You've had however many jobs at this point. You have an apartment. You got the things that you said that you wanted. How about you take this opportunity to just rest a little bit? Maybe the universe is telling you to calm down. You've done enough already. Those people didn't receive what you had to give. So how about you just rest in that and know that something better is on its way? And when I finally did that, I started creating more. I started a children's reading podcast called Reading Time with Nanny Trey. I did a play that was really fun called Soul Addiction that turned into a short film. And I just really lean into my artwork. And I feel like sometimes the universe forces you into opportunities to express yourself. And sometimes you just have to embrace that moment, as sad as it might be, in some aspects of your life, but in other ways it could really be fruitful. So I wouldn't always say that a firing is a I don't know, like a stamp on your character. It's just a stamp on that time in your life, and then you move on to something else that's more colorful and beautiful.
That's exactly right. I think about someone that I know, do you know Bomani Jones? He talks a lot about when he was fired at one point in his career and how he's not ashamed of it, and how sometimes and I love the way you said it, right? Specific Tremana, this is why I love talking to Black women, because y'all get it, right? We get it. It's sometimes you're like, you know what? Maybe I do need to sit down in this stillness and be quiet, right?
Yes.
Sometimes the firing, because again, and I think like you said earlier, we live in this capitalist world where we're supposed to look at being fired as a bad thing, you know. And it's like, actually, thank you for releasing me and propelling me into this space of rest, which in turn created a space for creativity. And as we were talking earlier, it resonated with me too when you said art is an outlet, you know. And I talk a lot about creatives and using artistry as an outlet for whether it be your rage, your tragedy, your happiness, your hope, your passion. That's what I love about having people like you and what we watch. It's that, we have outlets for what we're doing. We have outlets for what we're feeling. We have outlets to express to others that it's okay for them to express themselves, right? Like you
Yep.
said, you want to be able to encourage and empower Black Bostonians to tell their story. Why is it that when we hear Boston, we think white people? No.
Mm-hmm.
Why is it that everybody from Boston is a white person that knows another white person? There's a ton of us here. And so we need to tell our stories. So I think that's very, very powerful. And can you tell and you share with the room, because I think that this fits in there. Share with the room your comment. You said, if I can touch it. Do you know that your line, which was a bar,
Yes.
and I think everybody needs to hear it and where that came from, where you were exposed and realized like I can do whatever the fuck I want.
Yeah. Like for me, it's just I'm an artist in all the ways. So if I can touch it, I'm going to make it mine because that's the point of me being here is to really just be myself, you know, make my space. I have a tattoo that says impose your will. And so it's like if my will is to create this thing that is an expression of myself in this moment, I'm going to make it. And it doesn't need to resonate with you. It doesn't need to be monetized. It just is. And if it resonates with someone, to God be the glory. If it doesn't, okay, cool. Move on to the next thing. But like, I just want to touch and feel and breathe. And oh, there's this amazing quote that I'm not even going to try to attempt on this call right now, by Octavia Butler, my favorite author. And I think everyone should read something by her in their life because she is the pioneer of like science fiction and storytelling, and she does it in such an incredible way. But you want to make stories that touch and feel people. You want to make things that touch and feel people. And even if they don't immediately, maybe they will someday, but as long as they touch and feel you as an artist, you've done well. You've embraced who you are. So create, move, build, breathe. Don't take this capitalism shit too seriously because it's really not the cat's meow. What is the art that you create while you're here.
Mm, mm, mm. This. I am so glad this is recorded. This is available for everyone. I can't wait for everyone to hear what you're saying, Tremor. I have to echo, first of all, reading Octavia Butler's work. I'd also throw in Diane Ackerman's work, Bell Hook's work, and Toni
Yes,
Morrison's
yes.
work. I mean, let's just get into it. Women's history. It is what it is. We hear.
If I could
Um,
snap in the room, I would. Here we go.
yeah, here we go. There we go. They used to have like 100 emojis in here. They removed that. We
They
complained a
got to
lot
bring the
as
100 back. The
they need
100
to
is
bring the
like,
100 back. I'm like, what's going on here?
right.
They listened to some of the stuff we told them, but not everything. It's always a work in progress. It's art, right?
Hmm.
But you talked about, and what reminds me, this is not a woman or a Black person, but Oscar Wilde talks a lot about art. And if you've ever read The Picture of Dorian Gray, it's literally just about beauty and art and owning who you are and knowing your truth and finding that. And he talks a lot about if you find ugly meaning in beautiful things and you are corrupt, um, without I forget the full term. It's in the preface of Picture of Dorian Gray, but I can't help but think about though that preface and that entire book that I've read a million times, as you're talking about owning your art, and it doesn't have to be monetized every time, and it doesn't have to mean anything to anyone but you, and it doesn't even have to have a deep meaning to you. It could just be, what you feel and sharing what you feel. And I think, I kind of understand where you came from, being a civil and environmental engineer in a very, very comfortable, lucrative career, mind you, Tremana. I left a very,
Yes.
very comfortable life to do this because it was just burning inside of me that I had to tell my stories. And that's exactly
And I'm so
why.
glad that you are, because you
Thank you.
must.
Thank you. And I want to, create these spaces for other people to tell their stories, because inspiration and motivation and just finding that, and I don't want to say the word term networking because it feels like very, but it is networking and connecting with people that, the things that you say resonate with them and encourage them to create. And so we can fill up the space, we can take up space, we can, like you said, on your body, impose your will.
Hmm.
And I'm here because someone imposed their will, and it was a South Korean man that created Parasite. I say this all the time. I was literally in Parasite, a South Korean man. I have really not much in common with a South Korean man. He created a film. I watched it with 200 other people, just about, and we all walked out of there jaw drops, amazed, right, at this beautiful story on screen in subtitles, quite honestly, in a language we didn't even understand. And I said, this is exactly what I want to do. I want to tell my story, and I'm moving to Los Angeles, and I'm going to make sure that I can get out of this, career and pivot from civil and environmental engineer, real estate, tech, to writing and to screenwriting and directing movies. How can I do this? So I just have to echo that you're exactly right about that.
And I think I wanted to, like, just chiming in there. I think it's okay to change. Like, we're like, my parents are really stressed out when I decided to leave Harvard Business School to move to LA. They were like, "What? That doesn't make any sense. You can even go and get a degree for like damn near free. Why would you do that?" And sometimes your spirit just speaks deeper to something. And even if it doesn't work out, it doesn't mean that you failed. You tried. And I feel like that's such an important part that comes with art, is that you really just have to attempt it. You're not going to be good at everything the first time you do it. Like, you've just arrived in LA, you've been here 8 months, you're trying a lot of things out. And there's going to be moments where you're like, that thing doesn't work for me. And then you pivot. And you can't hold on to things too much because they were a part of the journey. They had their time. Everything's got a shelf life. So I'm really proud of you for taking that leap of faith, because it is really scary, but it's also okay. And there's going to be other scarier leaps that are going to come, and you're going to be able to overcome them because you've already done it once.
Ugh, you're amazing. You're amazing. This is about you. Let's not talk too much about me because I'm going to cry here, and then you're just going to have to take over this space moving forward and just talk about yourself.
We're
Thank
going to
you
cry
so much.
together, okay?
Thank you so much, though. But
Yeah.
so I want to talk a little bit. This is what we watch. So I want to focus and hone in a little bit about your work and some things that you're very proud of. You talked a lot about. I talked a little bit about a day in the life of Tremana White, and so now everyone can just come to this and listen to you speak about what a day in the life looks like for you. Because I can confirm, I do see you very often with a computer, with a glass of, I don't assume it's liquor, but anything, because I don't drink a lot. So I'm like, oh, that could be like a Shirley Temple. I will drink me a Shirley
The soda
Temple.
water with lemon and
Or
lime. I keep
there
it
you
cute,
go.
you know.
And you are on a rooftop pool, and if you want, if you can, if you're allowed to, like, say some of the stuff that you do on a daily basis to anybody that's looking into being a director of digital content. And I think a lot of times when people hear digital, like you said, they think social media. So talk a little bit about that. But I mean, activist, actress, artist, yoga instructor, you slipped in nanny, you thought I didn't hear it, we heard it, nanny, mother of children that did not come from your womb, but what difference would it make at that point? Producer, dancer, economics major. Tremana, you stop me, what haven't you done? Quite frankly, a day in the life of a director of digital content and own network, the Oprah Winfrey. And what haven't you done? What are some things, or who are some people that you want to work with in the industry? Because at this point, you're killing the game.
Wow, it's really, thank you. So one, thank you so much. It's always so interesting and fun to hear it out loud, because you never really realize what you're doing until someone else tells it to you, because you're just doing the shit and you're just getting through. Um, I think in terms of my day to day, I'm not going to give you one of those Wall Street Journal articles that are like, the most successful people start their day at 6 a.m. I don't do that. I do start my day at 6 a.m., but I'm not, yogaing and meditating at 6 a.m. I'm laying in my bed and I'm on Twitter. I'm having a little cackle. I'm having a little world news. I might drop a tear or something over a TikTok video that really touched my heart. It might be a puppy. It might be a person. I don't know. But I really start my day off. I ease into my day. I'm very big on rest. I'm a part of the NAP ministry. I wholeheartedly believe in the fact that Black people should be resting way fucking more. I studied abroad in Spain in undergrad, and I learned so much about myself and rest and culture and community through just having siesta. So at some point in my day, I'm taking a nap. It could be 10 minutes, it could be an hour. It really depends upon my meetings and the workload that I have, but I always make time for my rest. I have a smoothie in the morning. Um, I don't read the trades. I'm not that girl either. I probably should. You guys can judge me for it. Thanks. But I go into my meetings just like ready. Like I'm one of those people I prep before I go in. I know what my answers are going to be. I over prepare for, what we're working on. So, at OWN in particular, um, it's a lot of like strategy around what we're going to do on digital to create impact and to also market the programming that we have. So it can be a variety of things that we're discussing, but it's really just considering the audience at all fronts, and then just thinking about cool ways to make shit pop. Like I really like innovation, and so how do we do that? How do we make that happen? And how do we, push the brand forward? I think it's really incredible to be at the Oprah Winfrey Network. Like, do you know how much I love fucking Oprah? Like, she's fucking amazing. So it's really great to be there and to have a voice in the room and to be able to create really cool shit. So I do that. And then usually around like midday, I wind down with watching our programming. I think a key to being in TV is watching TV. And I haven't always been good at it, but my best friend Wendy is a TV connoisseur. She's also an incredible writer and producer. And I'm like, hey, Wendy, what should I be watching? And she's like, hey, watch this thing. So we watch a lot of like own content. We watch a lot of other content and just kind of keep a pulse on what's happening in the entertainment hemisphere. I usually end my day eating. I'm a snack all day type of girl too. Not chips, sometimes vegetables, maybe another smoothie. I don't really know at the moment, but um, I really work my day around my calls, around what type of strategy I need to develop, and how I'm going to create impact. And then the last that I can also get to, because I think we should really choose more joy throughout our day. If we're not choosing rest, we're choosing joy. So, how can I work that in? Um, I think digital marketing is ever changing. And I think as a Black woman, we are the creators of so much. And so I think it's ever changing, and I love to just see what everyone's doing. So I really just try to like be in that space. I'm forgetting your last question. I
You
feel like
hit all of them,
did I? Okay, good,
and
good.
maybe and then some. To be honest with you, a couple things that sat with me. First of all, let's get a clapping emoji in the room if you would say that you watch a lot of TV. This is what we watch. Welcome to what we watch. Follow what we watch. Film TV. Because I like what you said there about being in TV. It's the bottom right hand corner, plus sign, heart with the plus sign. Clap if you watch a lot of TV. Peace emoji if you watch enough TV. You watch some TV, that you're like, that this, I heard somebody say that this was cool. My friend recommended this, and that's what it is. Peace emoji for that. Okay. Okay. Okay, so we got people that watch a lot of TV in here, and I think what was cool, and what I wanted to highlight and echo what Tremana said was that when you're in TV, it helps to watch a lot of it too, right? Because if you're going to be on the other side of the camera, creating, producing, writing, you got to watch and understand your audience and how people respond to different types of art, right? And I think that's mostly, I mean, I might as well, when I can afford you, I'm going to hire you to talk about what we watch, because that's exactly one of our pillars. Like, watching TV, first of all, doesn't have to be a solitary experience. And if it is, you can still find ways to, incorporate that in how you create your art and how you go about your day and how you find joy in your day,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Life changing. Like, that's literally my life right now. Dramana is watching TV and writing TV, watching movies, writing movies. How can you be behind the camera if you haven't seen and watched some of the product and really immerse yourself in some of the stories that people have shared prior to you, right?
And
So
just understanding like format and like
mhm,
cinematographers, like you gotta have to be like you kind of have to be able to, it's an art form, like paint the vision you want to see. So like who would you want to do this, who would you want to do that, like what actors are really resonating with you across the television landscape. It's kind of, I call it research, honestly, and I'm not always good at it, I will say that, because the days can be long, but it really is so important to really like dive into TV if you want to be into TV, and just get just check off all the boxes, like who's doing what, what's happening here, what do I like, what don't I like. Ooh, that shot was really cool, can I like research more about that.
exactly. And I'm sharing some tweets up at the top, but yeah, you remind me. I People made fun of me for a while when I told them I've watched Tenet like so many times, and they're like, "Why would you watch this movie so many times?" I'm like, "Well, I'm an artist and I'm looking at the shots and I'm reading about the DP of the movie and I'm looking at the director of the movie. And a lot of times when you hear a song, you know who the artist is, or you go and look up the artist so you can listen to their album, right? When you read a book, you're like, oh, I know the author. I'm going to go read their other books. When you watch a movie, do you know who the director is? Do you know who the screenwriter is? And do you go watch their other work? And that's what I want people to do. That's part of why I created What We Watch. I want you to kind of get into it, right? We all know the artists of other, mediums and artistry. Get into it with movies and TV as well, and go watch these people's other work if you enjoyed that. And so I watched Tenet numerous times because I want to be a writer and a director, and I am a writer and director. And who better than to study the work of Christopher Nolan, and John David Washington with such a fucking crazy movie, right? So thank you for saying that, Tremana, because it's very important. And I've had so many people on this What We Watch Black History Month series / Women's History Month now that we're in it, right? I'm going to keep the Black woman going. But you talk about rest. And before we let everybody up to come talk to Tremana, any questions, comments, or anything like that, I really want to sit with rest. Can you tell us when you realized how important rest was? Because I've talked to so many people and none of them have really highlighted that. And I'm just so renewed and inspired that you are, emphasizing the importance of rest as a creative, right? Because I've been telling people a lot, I don't think you understand because I don't have a 9 to 5. I think you think that I don't have a schedule and I don't have a set way of managing things. And that when I tell you I'm working, it's very similar to when you say you're at work. I am
Mm-hmm.
working, I am writing, I'm watching a movie. And it is, like you said, it's research. I need my time here. And so I've been struggling personally, honestly, with like, when do I rest and why do I feel guilt in resting? So I think you could, speak a little bit about that and how you got there. And I think that could help a lot of people in the audience. What is rest and why is it so important?
Yeah, so my first experience with prioritizing rest, or the lack thereof, because at the time I got really, really sick, was I've always been a busybody and I've always been a hustler. So if you think me working 3 jobs now is a lot, like if you had met me 10 years ago, I would probably be working 5 or 6 and enjoying it and being like, I will sleep when I die. And I remember
Mm,
there was this one time in particular, I was just doing the fucking most, and all of a sudden, like my skin was crawling, my teeth hurt, and my family always makes fun of me because they're like, "This is always something with you." But it was like a very specific, like I've never felt like this before. My head was killing me, and nothing could get me right. Like not the water, not the Nyquil, not the Dayquil, nothing. I went to my nana's, rest in peace, Nana Facey, the most amazing woman ever. And she was like, "Are you okay? You don't look so good." And she was like, "How about you lay down?" I slept for 16 hours, woke up and realized that I had depleted myself wholeheartedly and I was not listening to my body. And our body is like, I think, one of the clearest messengers, because it'll tell you you're sick real quick and you can ignore it all you want. Like as soon as you get a headache, you're like, ugh, my head hurts. As soon as you feel dehydrated, you see it in your fingers, you see it in your skin, you see it in your hair. Like it's very clear. And I think we need to lean more into who we are, like deeply on like a very biological level of like, this doesn't sit well with me. Like black people with dairy, now you know your stomach hurts after you eat that cheese pizza or that ice cream or that mac
now
and cheese.
why now
And
why
yet
am
you
I in
still
it?
eat it every time.
Why
You don't
am
even
I
feel
in
like
it?
shit.
I'm
Okay?
doing my best. I'm doing my best, Tremana. I'm trying
I'm
to
just
phase it out.
saying. I'm just saying. Your body is telling you maybe you should like take a back seat on that one. And so for me, I learned very quickly that like if I do not rest, and like that was a very extreme not resting, I'm not going to be at my best. I won't be able to think appropriately. I won't be able to act appropriately. I literally cannot survive that way. And then I had mentioned earlier, I studied abroad in southern Spain in undergrad. And funnily enough, I went out there because they were like, I wanted to go to Fiji or South or Central America to study economics, and they were like, "There's no economics in Central America or all the way over in Fiji. What are you talking about?" And I was like, "Well, that's very white supremacist of you, but okay." So they were like, "Yeah, you can go to Southern Spain." I'm like, "Oh, fine. I think it's going to be too expensive for me because I'm a broke college student, but I'll go." And it was very very intense for me. But when I got there, I didn't realize that like they actually took siesta seriously. And I'm an American. I'm like, all right, bet y'all are gonna sleep in the middle of the day. I'm gonna go shopping. I'm gonna get my groceries. I'm gonna grab a new skirt for the party on Thursday. I'm gonna have a good time. And I realized that like actually everything is shut down. Like there's no grocery shopping, there's no clothing shopping. Like take your ass home. You couldn't even ride the bus, honestly. Like everything shuts down. And at that time I realized about I want to say it was like a month in, I started just sleeping in the middle of the day. 2, 3 hour nap. I was the healthiest I've ever been, the happiest I've ever been. I could think more clearly. And I just feel like we need to really embrace that here in the United States. Like there's not a lot of opportunity for rest. Like you work 8 hours a day, sometimes more, because these jobs teach you that if you give more, you'll get more. Not true. And so I just think that like if you can put a couple minutes in your day to take a walk, to sit down, because rest is not always sleeping. Rest is taking a moment to have a brain fart and be on Twitter. Don't feel guilty about scrolling. Like sometimes you need to just not think about shit. Sometimes you need to just go ahead and make your smoothie or clean up real quick, or I don't know, put a stroke of paint on the canvas you have sitting in the middle of your room. But I think rest is really really important to like the survival of people, because we're not supposed to be so productive at all times, and it's okay to take that beat.
Definitely, definitely. And it's interesting. First of all, do you speak Spanish?
Un poquito.
Okay, un poquito. Okay, because I hear you saying terms. I'm from Panama, so that was my first language. And it's interesting that you what did they say that what's economics in Central America? What did they say?
Yeah, they were
What
like, there's no economics in Central
first
America.
of all, my country is the reason why the USA gets a lot of their products and services.
You better
So
talk your shit, because we did a
there,
whole, we did, I
what
think it
are
was
we?
2 months on the Panama Canal.
Yeah, what are we talking about? So
What are
that's
we talking
interesting.
about?
What are we talking? Like you're not gonna silence us, Black people across the diaspora. You're just not gonna do it. That's just
Mm-hmm.
crazy. But it's interesting. My two favorite artists at this point are you and Rajon Rondo, and I'll tell you why. Y'all talk about naps, and it's so interesting, right? And this doesn't just apply to creatives; it definitely applies to everyone else. Um, the grind, right? Like you got to grind. And no one ever sits down and says, "Hey, there is no grind without rest." Okay?
Yep.
And rest doesn't mean immobility. It doesn't mean stagnation. Rest means a quick break, like you said. Go do a little painting. Quite frankly, that's literally what I do now. I take breaks from writing. That's when I go and I drink my water, I open my window. Maybe you're saying a little too much, but I smoke a little weed. Or maybe I don't. Maybe I watch some movies. Maybe I call my friend. Like, that's sometimes what rest looks like, just a break away from the productivity at the time, right? And I can't stress enough how thankful I am that you're highlighting this, right? Because again, as a creative, you got to get out there. You're in LA, first year in LA, second year in LA. You got to get out there. Don't be afraid to do your work and grind it out, and you can't waste any time. And it's like we associate rest with time wasted. And
Mm-hmm.
it's beautiful that you're talking about how that's just not a thing. It's not time wasted because you'll get to the point where your body is screaming at you. I'm settling into my age. I'm just now entering my 30s. And you're right. The body is the most clear messenger of all,
Think about
I'm
video
getting,
games. Whether you're playing The Sims or Dungeons and Dragons or any of those like player one games, they all need rest, don't they? Why would a computer game need rest? Now I know they got cheat codes because I've used them before, but everybody needs rest. Like it just is. And we have to embrace that and realize that's also a part of your productivity. Your brain functions better when you've had more rest. That's why they try to take the rest from us. And even going back to like their Wall Street Journal nonsense, that man who's waking up at 6 a.m., he probably went to bed at 9. He might have been to bed at 8. He probably has somebody else doing many things for him so that when he does wake up at 6, he doesn't have to be stressed out. So just think that like the narratives that you're getting are probably not always true and not always true to you. And the resting is like the true freedom, I think, around nurturing and curating your life to be what you want it to be.
Fully agree. And we're gonna take the last 15 minutes to come up here and comment. Please tell me something that you love that Tremana said, and then ask her any questions. Tremana, thank you so much for joining us for What We Watch. Follow What We Watch Film TV. You guys, we do this every week. We're highlighting Black people. We're highlighting women. It's Women's History Month. And again, I'm just going to end on the importance of rest. Again, Tremana talking about rest as a yoga instructor, a nanny. She's produced short films, she's written plays, or you've produced or written plays. Both? I feel like you've done both.
I have written and I've acted in, but I've never produced a play.
Okay, okay. Written and acted in plays, economics major. You paint. You paint.
Yeah.
I would love to see some of your artwork if that's something that you do. You also taught us that not all of our art has to be shared, and if it is critiqued, it is not the art's truth. Right? You spit in Oscar Wilde bars too. That's I learned that from reading about a white man speaking in 1891. So it's beautiful to hear it from a Black woman as
Oh,
well.
the freedom he had, huh?
Right, right. Right. And so thankfully I could just apply that to a Black woman saying it now. I asked you about your website. You guys please go check out her website, tremonadiamond.com. And I was like, this is a beautiful, beautiful website. I know that my beautiful website, I could never have created it. I know my strengths and my weaknesses or my rooms for improvement. And something in me was like, why do I feel like she created this website? Why
You
does
are
this
so
feel like
kind.
her? And you were like, yeah, no, that was me. That was me.
I told you if I'm
So
going to touch it, I'm going to own it because it's my art.
if I can touch it, I'm going to make it mine. And that's exactly what every Black woman and every Black person and every marginalized group in this space needs to take away. If you can touch it, make it yours. And so on the topic of rest, I just wanted to end with that. I think it's so important and vital. And I'm so glad that you've highlighted that so much in our conversations prior to this and in this space. So now I will open it up. We have one person that's up here. She's from LA. She's in there. Hi, Jamel. Hi, Chaz. Hi, Sam. You guys come up and talk if you want to. Thank you for joining What We Watch. Juanita, welcome. Let's talk
Hi,
to let's
thank you.
talk to Tremana. Yeah.
Hello, Tremana. So two things. One, the subject of rest. Um, for me, being an LA native and kind of looking at the speed of the industry, it's like it is a tremendous difference, and in that is kind of this glorification of just work all the time. And me, like I rule the world from my bed. I literally rule the world from my bed. Like I record my podcast in my bed. I edit it in my bed. And mostly because my desk is dirty. But ultimately, when we're talking about rest, rest is when you grow. You grow in your sleep. You like you don't you can't just put your body through the ringer and not allow it time to adjust to its new strengths. Like your muscles have to tear so they can become stronger. The only way that they can actually become stronger is if you sit the fuck down sometimes and step away from the exercise you're doing and maybe focus on something else for a second. So there's that on rest. And then also, if you can touch it, make it yours. I have like a similar idea, and the idea is more like if you can fathom it, you can do it. Just more or less like if you can see it, you can fathom it. And if you can fathom it, you can work it all the way out.
Thank you, Juanita.
Yeah, I honestly love that. I think that is like the true beauty of art is if you can think of it, then just let it breathe. And if you can figure out a way to, and sometimes you don't even want it to because it just feels so close, but I completely agree. I think the part about being an LA native, I have a bunch of friends from LA who are like, the way that y'all come into this city is crazy. You move crazy. You like, just the energy is rah rah. And I think, there's a lot of, I'm from the East Coast. I know a lot of New Yorkers will probably feel the same way. Maybe even some Chicagoans because city vibes is just we have a lot to do and we come from cold places. So when we come to a warm climate, we just trying to move a little bit. But having been out here 8 years, I tell people who come to visit me, especially, is that I live here. Like this is my community. I want to impact it. I really feel connected to Los Angeles, and I completely understand where you're coming from. Where it's like we rush towards goals, we don't really consider where we are, who we are, what's happening. And I think it's really important to prioritize the rest, and then also just like take up space in your community to be able to do that. So I'm really glad that you mentioned that. I love that you have your podcast and you do it from your bed. Own your space and the dirty desk. Get into it. My desk is a little crazy right now too. It happens to the best of us. But we're still creating, we're still doing, and that's a beautiful thing.
I love that you brought up the video game thing because I also I be on Twitch streaming, and I love that. And you're right. Um, every character has like a bar of health in some form or fashion in that first person shooter, and it's like, yeah, I need to rest, I need to recover. And Juanita, you brought up a great point about, I just tweeted out today how my entire life is, it's pilot season right now. So I plopped my nails off, which now I'm just looking at my little natural short nails. I'm weightlifting, I'm writing, I'm watching movies, I'm watching TV. And my little whoop strap tells me about my strain and my recovery. It yells at me if both of those are low, including my recovery. And that's kind of helped me adjust my thinking around rest as well. Like, it doesn't matter how much strain you have, your muscles will not get bigger, you will not get toner, your waist will not get smaller if you don't rest, which is recovery. So, y'all are both spitting up here. Thank you so much for that. Jamel, welcome. Jamel Pell. Any
Hey,
comments
how
or
you
questions
doing?
for Tremana? Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, hello, Tremana. It was it's always fascinating to me to listen to people who have an approach that I'm basically still learning from. And this is kind of in combination of a general overall sense of some of the things that Tremana was talking about in combination with specifically connected to rest. Because the first part of it is, with you, Mo, as well. One of the mistakes I feel like I definitely made in what I feel like my first stint in Los Angeles was I didn't pay enough attention to the fact that this was an industry and that it was a business and that it conducted itself as such far more than it did on that side of artistry. I came in there with a complete and total artist approach to everything and only focusing on that, and mistakenly thinking that talent was going to get everywhere. And so just hearing the way that people that come from different disciplines come into it and hit and hit the ground kind of running and kind of have this multi-tiered approach to it. It's not so much a comment, it's just I'm always impressed with it, and fascinated by it, and constantly learning from it each time I hear somebody talk about the ways in which they did it, and the ways in which you found your way into this industry, and the ways in which you're attacking it are just there are a lot of things that I could have used having somebody like that in my ear when I was first out there. And then, of course, the rest, I think that's going to hit with everybody, and especially the particular ways in which both of you were framing it. Just because we are definitely an overworked society. That little bit about, what they teach us, it was definitely, especially again in Los Angeles, I was hustling to do all these things, everything from working in security to freaking selling knives door to door and doing these things at the same time, so that most of the time I didn't really know what rest was. And then I'm starting to join into the all too popular, not really even just Los Angeles, but, big city thing of using drugs just to even stay up on Adderall and all these other things just so I can be supposedly using all this time. And just as Tremana talked about, my body was totally got run. The tire tread came off of it. And there were a couple of really big, hospitalizations that happened as a part of it. And really not just rest in the context of just, naps, which are so vital. But also, even right now, it was a hard lesson coming to Palm Springs area, known for that, and kind of getting used to being more on kind of this. I wouldn't say necessarily chill mode because I'm still working on my craft and I'm still writing about my craft. But at the same
Mm-hmm.
time, I've gotten a lot less busy than I was in LA. And that was a huge adjustment just in a whole lifestyle sense because I just was focused on consistently
And,
working and
and
running. So, yeah.
interject here, Jamel, because I want to hear what you said. Something very important and cool, and I want to hear what Tremana has to say about it. Tremana, can you talk about like the heavy business aspect of it? Right, a lot of artists and creatives, we come in and we're excited to share our ideas. We're excited about what it looks like and what the final product is going to be and how people are going to view and discuss it, and we don't talk a lot about the business side of it, right? Can you talk a little bit about what you've learned throughout your, nearly a decade in the game?
Yeah. Jamel, thank you for sharing that. I think it's beautiful to have diverse experiences in terms of trying to hustle towards the dream and the vision that you want to see. So I think you're also inspiring many people and you may not even realize that. And so just continue pressing forward. I think mentorship and like inspiration and finding people who resonate with you or build you up is really difficult at times because, again, in the social media world, people are doing a lot more than on social media than they actually are in the background. So, salute to you for really like pressing forward. I think in terms of business, and being that I have an economics degree, like I've always approached a lot of my experiences with like, how can I learn here? Um, I'm not one to go into a room like I have this amazing story to tell. Everybody should listen to me. Like that's just I'm not that girl. I'm gonna sit back. I'm gonna be quiet. I'm gonna listen. I'm gonna learn. I really find that as much as everything is changing, a lot of things are still the same, especially in this industry. Whether it be streaming, whether it be on live television, there's a lot of nuance that is just not changing as quickly as we want it to be. And I think the most important thing you can do is really just pay attention. If you find that you really enjoy a producer, a writer, an actor, a director, a cinematographer, that you follow what they're doing, what they're up to, follow like who their agents are, really do that IMDb digging to find out what it looks like, and then ask the questions. Because we all know one person who's really mixing and moving. Like two of my best friends are writers, Amabe Bayene and Chandra Russell, and they've sold television shows at this point, whether it be animated, drama, comedy, and I just asked them questions. I'm like, hey, sis, like, I saw you're doing this cool thing. I'm really happy for you. Like, can you just explain what that means? I don't really get it. And I
Mm-hmm.
think being willing to ask questions is really going to help push people forward because everyone wants to walk in the room like they know, but it's okay to not know. It's not that
Mm-hmm.
big of a deal. Just ask a question. And I think most people really want to tell and want to share. So I think that's a really great approach to being out in Los Angeles is having people nearby, and even if they are at a distance, just being willing to ask the question and walk into a room without knowing anything and just being excited to be there and to soak all of the information up.
Yeah, I love that. And Jamal, I'll let you finish. I shared some tweets at the top, and Tremont, I want to get into some games here in a little bit, but I share some tweets at the top regarding it being okay that you don't know. And I think we talk about being a sponge. We talk about how children are always sponges, and they're just like, you know, soaking up everything that they're learning and imitating and emulating what they see. But as adults, we should also be sponges, and we should be comfortable with saying, I don't know, and we should be comfortable with saying, hey, Tremana, I saw you do this. I saw you create this website. What were the tools that you used to create this? Because, I'm very far from that. Like little things like that where you reach out to the people. And I love Chandra. So I didn't know that was one of your closest friends. That's amazing. She's amazing. But Jamel, does that cover it? Did you have any additional comments? I know I interjected. I just want to let you finish. But I was like, I think Tremana has a good little take on business.
Oh, heck yeah. I mean, she definitely covered it and still was spitting out more gems, even as she was covering the ones that we were already speaking on. But yeah, just the last thing I was saying was just that, there's so many things that people don't tell people trying to get into this particular part of the industry, whether it's direction or any of the more creative focused aspects of it, and especially even something small like trying to get an agent, which is a grind and a hustle into and of itself. And so when you hear other people coming into and I think an advice and as important as something like what you just said, it's okay to not know, which is something that not a lot of people will not only not tell you, but even imply in their actions. I think all of these things are very vital and for a lot of people, newcomers, and even those of us like myself who've been out there for years.
Right, right. And guys, those in the audience, Jamel writes and has wonderful threads on Twitter about movies and TV as well. We connected in what we watched months and months ago, and it's been amazing. So thank you for being coming up in the space and talking to Tremana. Tremana, we didn't really focus on you as a full time actress, and before we play our two little games, so that the audience can get some rapid fire kind of feeling about who you are in your most your most vulnerable moments, right? I just, what answer can you give me very quickly off the top of your head? Talk a little bit about acting, and because I have a newfound joy and respect for acting in my endeavors and creative processes from a writer director behind the camera. I'm actually kind of getting obsessed with actors. Like, I'm obsessed when a director can sit with an actor, one or two actors in a scene, and just watch them, just them and the cameras rolling, no lines. Like, when you guys start watching my movies, that's gonna be like a staple of mine, because the Sydney Sweeneys, the Jeffrey Wrights, the the Regina Kings of the world in front of the screen, and you just get to sit with them, and it's like it's fucking amazing. So please tell me what your favorite thing about being an actress is, and why you have a full-time job and you're still also a full-time actress. What's been your journey like there? Because I'm obsessed. It's such a talent.
Yeah, I think, I mean, as a true like weirdo, and I don't mean to say that all actors are weird or that like you have to be weird to act. It's not really that, but like, I'm
No,
just,
all of you are.
yeah, I'm not
You are
normal. I'm a little quirky, and I
yeah.
feel like it's just so fun to bring other characters to life. Like I do voiceover as well, and I just love like just becoming someone new. Like it brings me a lot of joy to think about what creates a character, like what choices would they make in that moment. And I think the other beautiful part to that as well is, who would Tremana be if she were going to be this person? Because when you're booked on a job, you're not necessarily like playing that person, you're playing yourself as that person. So how do I then bring that to life? Like if I were going to be this, I really like horror films. So if I'm going to be, and they don't really give like horror characters a lot of like breath. They do when they're more like witchcraft and whatnot. But maybe like let's pivot to like a drama per se. If I'm like, some mom and I'm struggling and, I'm arguing with my husband, I'm trying to nurture my children. Let's just say, I don't know what the movie's about, but it's just like, who would Tremana be if she were in this scenario? How would she react to these various moments? And how does that play out? Like, what is a relationship with the husband and the natural chemistry that you have? Is it automatically standoffish where you don't really get him? Is that going to play into what's happening? I think there's a lot of nuance to chemistry that really brings out actors when they're playing in scenes together, about who they are and who they present themselves to be in these scenarios. And I just find it to be so, so fun. The show that I'm on right now is called Sherman Showcase. Excuse me, we just wrapped season 2. And what I love about that experience is it's a sketch comedy show. It's black as fuck. It's literally a black sketch comedy show. It travels through time. It has music. It has dance in it. And we all get to bring various characters to life. And it's literally our choices. Like,
What network is it on?
it's on IFC, and you can watch season 1 and our Black History Month special on Hulu.
Nice, nice. Okay, perfect. Go ahead.
Yeah. And what makes it so hilarious is like the music is actually good AF, but also silly. So like when you're listening to it, we had that song "Drop It Low for Jesus" that had like a little viral moment. I want to say like a year and a half ago.
Oh, we know
Um,
exactly what that is on Twitter
yeah,
here. We know exactly what that is.
you
Go
know
ahead.
"Drop It Low for Jesus," so that's from our show. So you kind of get it.
Oh, I absolutely do. Oh my God. Okay, great.
Yes. And I just love that we all get to bring various characters to life. We get to have fun. You don't take yourself too seriously. I mean, you take yourself seriously for the job. Like, we're professionals here, but you're having fun and you know what's funny. And I think that being an actor is really about creating new versions of yourself within these characters. And then also just thinking about what's going to affect the viewer. Like, is this going to be the moment where they're like, oh my God, like that resonated with me. That touched me. And I think that's what makes it so fun. And I love directors that work with actors and writers who have taken acting classes, because you get to see how it the words are on the page, but they also have to be in our body. And as a
Mm.
dancer, that really helped me a lot. Is like, where am I in the room? I think theater helps a lot of actors, whether it be musicals or plays to really find yourself in the space and figure out what that storytelling looks like in a physical way.
I love that. First of all, I'm renewed and I feel so good that like we have so much in common because when you said I love horror, that's like another pillar for what we watch. I need everyone to get into horror from every aspect of
Please,
artistry.
it's so good.
It,
Even if you laugh, like
oh,
that's also the point. Like
oh
enjoy
my
it.
god. I could talk about horror. You know how some people ask you, what can you talk about for like 30 minutes straight without, anything? Horror movies, horror film, everything horror, from behind the scenes to the actors to the plots, the stories, to the fundamentals of filmmaking. I'm obsessed. I'm obsessed with horror. I love it. And so I'm so glad to see a Black woman that's an actress and a producer that just highlighted that in this moment because I am alive. I love horror. The most recent Batman, no spoilers. It's beautifully neo or not neo noir, but noir and horror. It's just beautiful.
Ooh, I'm ready. I'm excited.
Oh my god, it's so good. You're gonna love it. It's amazing. Like you talked about sound too, like horror. Like the currency for horror is sound, right? Like it's just.
And
I
oh my god, when I get scared, I plug my ears. I can't be the
Yeah,
only one. Like,
everyone's always
please
talking
tell me.